Hi crafters, and welcome to Creative Moments by G. I'm G. So happy that you're with us today. If you're looking for some colors that will really make your card pop, then stick around because we're going to make some cards with black and white and with just a hint of color. You're going to love it. Let's head down to the crafting table and let's get started. Now for the first card we're going to make, we are going to use Quiet Meadow. We're going to use the embossing folder, Hive. We have some stitched shaped circles that we need, and then we have a couple blends. We're going to use Poppy Parade and Garden Green for our blends, as well as we're bringing in a little bit of light Calypso Coral. So the first thing we need to do is cut a top fold card. And all you have to do is take your cardstock that is 8.5 by 11, and on the 8.5 side, go ahead and cut it right down the middle at 4 1/4, and then score it at 5 1/2, and we have our top fold card. The next thing that you're going to need to do is get a mat for the top of your card, and we want that a little bit smaller, and so we cut a 4 by 5 1/4. Now I want to remind you that all the measurements will be listed over on creativemomentsbyg.com, so you can head over there and get the blog. Now remember, this is Technique Tuesday, so we have lots of techniques to show you. So what we went ahead and did was we got Thinking of You, and we simply stamped that on the mat, and then we ran our mat through our embossing folder. And this is what you're going to get. Now, it's very important that you stamp your message first. And go ahead and use your stamping tool, whether it's a Stamparatus or another tool like the Misty. But you want to get a nice dark image because when you run it through the embossing folder, it's going to lighten it up. But you can still read that Thinking of You so nicely. Now, we're going to lay this down on our card. We're going to get our adhesive, and I did stamp it originally on this side, but this side has like a honeycomb effect. I wanted the top where this bubbles out. So really look at your embossing folder and decide which way you want it. Now because this is a 3D, we really have to push on this to get it to adhere to the card. Now the next thing you need to do on this card, you need to cut a 4 by 2.5 inch rectangle. And once you do that, decide on how large you want your frame. Then you're going to take your 2 circles and you are going to tape them together. This gives you an equal frame all the way around. And this is important, otherwise it will be lopsided. So now you can go ahead and run this through your boss and get your frame that you need. Now let me tell you what we did. We want kind of a thick frame, so we went ahead and we ran this through 3 times, and we're going to stack them on top of each other. So here are the frames that we cut out. Now let's just glue them on top of each other. You can go ahead and put this up on dimensionals once we put it on the front of our card to give us that black and white, very distinctive look, or you can just lay it down because it is thick. Now for our image that we want on the front, we actually are going to cut this in half. So we took the outside circle, we added it to our piece of paper, and we cut it out just like that. Just run it through your boss, and when you do that, you're going to get something like this. You're going to get 3 pieces. We're not going to use this background, but we are going to adhere this to the front of the card. Look at that. It's already starting to take shape and give us some real interest. So let's go ahead and lay this down. You want to make sure and get it straight across. And now this is going on the inside. Is that not cute? And does that not give you a lot of interest? But we're not through because we want to bring in a white circle and we're going to stamp just some flowers on this just to have a pop of color. Now to make sure we stay within this circle, we're going to draw a very light line. Just put your frame on your white circle background and now just draw a very light line so you know exactly where to stamp. Now we've decided to use just the top part of this stamp right here. So I'm going to bring in Poppy Parade. Just going to stamp this top part. And now you can go ahead and erase this line. Make sure that your ink is dry. And now I'm going to bring in that light Calypso Coral and I'm going over these flowers just a little bit. Now I'm going to bring in a little bit of bronze for the stem. And bring in a little bit of green. Now, I think we need a few little dots here on the inside, so let's go ahead and just bring in a very thin marker and go ahead and make some dots. That gives us some definition for this. Now we want to go ahead and take our cute little polka dot frame and glue that down. And one of the reasons we stamp this on a white circle is because we emboss this. That doesn't give us the flat background that we need. So let's go ahead and set this up on some dimensionals. I took the backing off. We're just going to lay this right down in the center. Now we're going to flip this open and we're just going to bring in a few little flowers right here. So let's open up our Poppy Parade again. And you don't even have to color them. Now, look at this. Such an interesting combination of colors. The black and white really make this flower pop. We love this card. Now, remember I said stay with us because I have two other cards to show you. But let's move on to our next card that we're going to create. And what you're going to need for that is you will need a top fold black base. So remember, this is cut at 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. Now we went ahead and we just stamped our first map with just saying hello. This is 4 by 5 1/4. So you can go ahead and you can just lay that down on the front of your card. And once again, I didn't use the Stamparatus and it wasn't as dark as I wanted. So I just flipped it over and put it in the Stamparatus. We're going to stick with our black and white. So we cut this to match the white because we found some DSP that was black and white, just a little scrap of it. We're going to add this right to the front. So let's get this laid down. We just love how this black and white makes the little bit of color that you add to the card really pop and stand out. Now we're going to add some DSP. Now, kind of like spotlighting, if you wanted to, you could take some green and maybe just color those leaves right there just to spotlight that one little area. But we have some that we're going to cut out. We're going to color and cut out. So let's go ahead and color these. Now remember, you always want to put something down because if you blend the right way, this will bleed through the paper. So what we're going to do first, we are going to just soak this flower right here with our light poppy parade. So just go ahead and flood it and cover it really well. Now, when I'm using the brush nib, notice how I hold it on its side. I don't color down because you will ruin the tip if you do that. Now I'm going to bring in some yellow for the center. And already the flower looks really pretty because they have given you some areas of shading already. But I want to go ahead and define those a little more. So I'm going to bring in the dark poppy parade, and we're just going to use the pencil nib, and I'm going over some of those areas that they have shaded for us. And look how much prettier that looks. Just to bring in that dark shading, just makes it pop. Now let's look at what we might want to do with the leaves. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go over the veins with a darker color. Then I'm going to come back in with a light color. And I'm going to use the brush nib. It gives me a broader stroke. I'm going to try not to go over the area that I shaded because these are alcohol markers. It will lighten it up. Now, if that happens, you can always go back in and go over those veins just to make them a little darker. Now look at those leaves. See how pretty they are? You get that definition because you use the light and the dark blends. And now you can just use your poppy parade to go over those little flowers right there. Just kind of dab. Now I need to go over this stem. I'm going to use the bronze pencil nib. Now look how pretty that is. I love the shading on the leaves and the flower. Now you can go ahead and color these exactly the same way. We went ahead and colored those and cut them out. And now we're going to add them to the front of our card, giving us that contrast once again to black and white. So let's put this, I think right there. I'm going to kind of hook this down and put it up on dimensionals. Now look at the outside of that card. The black and white make the color of these flowers just pop. Now we need to add a white card to the inside of this card. And to keep with our theme, we're just going to stamp a black and white flower. Just love this coloring. Love the black and white. Now remember I told you we had some additional black and white? Look how we mixed the colors on this one. We simply cut a strip of black paper at an angle. We laid these down straight, put this right across the center, and use that beautiful stamp set pomegranate. How beautiful is that? We added our white on the inside. So we have our black and white theme. And finally, look at this cute little card. We added tone on tone so that we have our matte. We have our white frame on top of the white. We punched out a daisy. And then we simply used our dauber to add some yellow to the inside of this card. What do you think about those cards? Leave a comment below. Which is your favorite? We would love to know. Well, we appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. We want you to go out and make it a fantastic day. We hope you enjoyed Technique Tuesday. See you next time. Bye-bye.